Hello, everyone. How are we? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic day wherever we are around the world. Welcome back to yet another match reaction for you guys. And of course, Liverpool have just beaten Barnsley by 3 goals to 1. A bit of a strange game, really. Of course, look, it wasn't going to be back and forth, like a classic game. But again, the Reds did make it a bit of a struggle against Barnsley. Like, I'm not going to sit here and go and say anything else. But still, like, at the end of the day, Liverpool have got the job done. And now, of course, we're through to the next round of the FA Cup, where we will take on Brighton at Anfield, of course. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Be very intrigued to know your guys' thoughts on the win. Of course, Florian Wirtz getting a goal and assist, which is always great as well. And of course, it's great to see the likes of Hugo Ekitike back as well from injury, which, look, it's... let me know how you lot are anyway in the comments. Jack's just waffling. How's it going? He does that on a daily basis. So, there's no change there, is it, realistically? Not 3-1. Did I say 3-1? 4-1. Liverpool beat. Did I say 4-1 or 3-1? I probably said 3-1, didn't I? To be fair, in all honesty as well, I will say before the stream, that headline that you can read saying 4-1, it was almost 2-1. Before stream. So yeah, no, I did watch the game, and look, I'm not going to sit here and go and say like it wasn't an absolute amazing performance and we should completely talk about it being the best performance of the season, because look, it wasn't. It was dull, it was boring, but again, it got the job done. And look, fair play to Barnsley as well. Look, they again, they didn't really threat Liverpool. I felt like we didn't get threatened at all, apart from the dodgy mistakes that Dom Szoboszlai made in today's game. But look, that's just me, chat. That's just me. But no, joking aside, they did very, very well as well to fight back into the game. And look, on a different day, if it was away from home, probably, as well, they may have ended up getting a result from it. But with Liverpool going as strong as we did, and I don't know about anyone else, but I was a bit surprised that we did go that particularly strong. I felt like we wasn't going to go and do it, but then we did. And look, at the end of the day, we probably ended up needing to do it. Because again, if we didn't, then Liverpool would have been knocked out. But still, it's a good result in the fact that Liverpool threw. And look, on another day, Liverpool would have won 4-0. But look, we move on. Good, there's some good points, but still, an overall performance-wise, I do think it's it's a bit of a talking point again, isn't it? Just purely down on how when we have the mass of the ball and we have possession consistently, we're not doing anything with it unless we bring on a Florian Wirtz to then create a bit. And that's a bit concerning, I think, more than anything else in that regard anyway. But big up Gary saying Talio all been great win, but sack Slot ASAP. Again, there will be, of course, bombardments of Arnie Slot and how he should, what should happen now, because of course the whole merry-go-round of managers is currently going on. Of course, if anybody doesn't know what's happened today, of course, Xabi Alonso got sacked from Real Madrid, or left by mutual consent, which otherwise means he's been sacked. Let's not lie around this. And of course, everyone's going to talk about Xabi Alonso to Liverpool for the next 6 months, which is going to be great. But look, at the end of the day, do I think Xabi Alonso at some point will become Liverpool manager? Possibly. Like we all know that Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes had Xabi Alonso to begin with in the search for a new manager for Jurgen Klopp, and of course, everybody knew that he was going to go to Real Madrid then, and maybe things might change in the future. But look, as of things right now, Arne Slot is the Liverpool manager, and of course, people will back him until he is no longer the Liverpool manager. Haikon, Alonso would be fantastic, don't you think? So, in the future, possibly, but as of right now, Arne Slot's the Liverpool manager. Flo just keeps getting better. Yeah, no, he does. He becomes reliable as well. Look, a goal and an assist, and he made the difference. He came on was pressing a bit more. That it was a good substitution by Slot as well. Obviously, pressing a lot more from the front, which was needed. And again, a bit more agency as well. Pick up in the pace in terms of the play. And look, when that happened, Liverpool scored from it. Twice realistically, where again we attacked through transition for the fourth goal, and the third goal was just again quicker passes. Really, that in my opinion. That's the annoying thing about Liverpool. Okay, yes, Liverpool will pass and move, and create a bit, but we do it at such a slow pace that you look at it and go, any team can literally just shuffle side to side and try and defend and keep compact, where then they can then transition and counter Liverpool, and that's a problem, isn't it? That's a huge problem for no offense, but better teams really, because again, better teams tonight I think would have countered Liverpool and potentially have got something away from that game as well. Curtis, man of the match for Ollie as well. Big up Ollie, hopefully doing well. You're big up Con as well. Hello Ozan, hopefully doing well. Do you trust in Slot? Look, I've said my thoughts on it for weeks. I think the end of the season we will see what happens really, but in my opinion I do think Liverpool might be looking for a new manager in the summer. It's hard to see past the struggle of beating a team like Barnsley until the 88th minute. Can you remember the last time we were out of sight and relaxed at the end of games? Brighton maybe. Apart from but we weren't really out of sight in that game either, were we? Yeah, I can't even remember. Spurs last season, at home when we won the league. I really don't understand how you replace a title-winning manager with a guy you hope that has already turned us down. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, and that is the thing. Look, I do think Xabi Alonso will be Liverpool manager one day. I don't think it's going to necessarily happen now. Because again, look, even though I think Liverpool may think about changing manager in the summer, I also can look at it and go, well, Liverpool might give him another season, or at least give him a minimum time of that as well. Because look, at the end of the day, this season can still be successful for Liverpool. It can. Look, if we were to get a top four finish and a convincing top four finish, win an FA Cup or go on to win a Champions League, that is very possible for Liverpool. We've seen a much worse Liverpool side go on to win a Champions League, for example, as well. And look, it's very, very possible that we could do that. Of course, we need everyone back fully fit. We need Mo Salah. We need, signings as well. I'm not going to lie around it. I think Liverpool need another centre half. Tonight was another, again, example of that, because we're having to take Joe Gomez off for Ibu Konate, which I'm not going to lie to you guys. Did Ibu look fit when he came on? To me, he didn't. He looked like a guy that didn't want to come on. Really, and again, that's the problem we have at the minute. Is I think Liverpool need to go and sign another centre back, i.e., Mark Guéhi. To then, you could then say, okay, we can last the rest of the season with Jeremy Frimpong and Joe Gomez as our right backs, and then we've got a new centre half, Ibu Konate and Virgil van Dijk as our centre halves, while also then having the availability of an Endo or Gravenberch, who could then drop back a bit if you need it. As well, but that's obviously a talk for another time as well, in terms of what we bring into the squad. But Vert should have had a brace though. Con side-footed sitter missed. Yeah, it was a brilliant cross from Dom, wasn't it? Who, by the way, I will say this, by the way, like for man of the matches, and I want to know your guys' thoughts for tonight, but I'd say Dom's got to be up here for man of the match. I thought he was really good. Of course, scored the banger in the first half, which was really, really good, and then made the mistake, which then allowed Barnsley to come back into the game. But I thought the entire game, I thought he was, again, just typical Dom, a very good, solid performance, and did everything, 9 out of 10, really. And that's just been Dom this season, where, again, he's been Liverpool's best player for me this season, without a shadow of a doubt. But again, I think there's other people you could talk about. You could talk about I think, Ollie mentioned Curtis Jones for sure. You could even say Florian Wirtz because, again, his goal and an assist got Liverpool over the line, really. So there is a few. I thought, when we're talking about players and that, I thought, again, Rio and Kamoa had a decent game, when he was given the ball on that side, beat the man once or twice. But again, it was just until like the 80th minute, Liverpool were slow, tonight, and that's something that needs to change against teams that you're going to dominate. Sorry, you need to be a bit more quicker in the pace and the tempo and the pass and move because again, when we did that, Liverpool went on to score. The Wirtz goal is a prime example of that. A bit more quicker in the tempo and a bit quicker in the pace. And for me, you go on then to score and go on to create a bit more. And that's what Liverpool need to do a lot more this season. And look, we haven't seen it. Apart from potentially the first couple of games of the season, and there's just little glimpses of it now and then, really. But Gary says Hugo is the main nine. Yeah, well, at the minute he's showing it, isn't he? Could United go for Alonso? Do you think he'd go do it? No, I don't think so personally. I'm not gonna lie. I think United's plan will be to get Thomas Tuchel out of England. I think if Thomas Tuchel wins the World Cup with England, that will be the goal Man United will go for. Because again, it's headlines. And yeah, that's who I think they're going to try and go and get. Only way Slot goes is when he sings the next manager as well. Yeah, at the end of the season, isn't it? But half the team look unfit and overplayed. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Canate being one of them. Like I said, I think at the end of the game, when he was kind of limping a little bit, I was a bit worried by that because I thought he got injured. But again, he's been overworked, isn't he? Same as Virgil. That's the problem when you don't have centre halves realistically and don't have backup really. And that's the problem. Like, again, the transfer market, I think we all said in the summer, in terms of the signings, I don't care what anyone says. All of us were saying 8 and 9s for the transfer window. Apart from again not getting a Luis Diaz replacement in and not getting a centre half. Apart from that, it was a very good window for Liverpool. But I think the difference between I think we said this in the summer. The big problem for Liverpool was we didn't add to the squad. We replaced. We didn't add quality apart from right back. Where, all right, even though still we lost Trent, we gained Jeremy Frimpong, but there wasn't one position that we gained really. We lost, we lost Lucho. Again, we obviously brought in Rio, but realistically, Rio's not been given an opportunity that much this season. So when you look at it, we again, that's something that needs to happen now in this window and in the summers. We need to build the squad back up because we've not done that. Starting 11 wise, if you're gonna put Liverpool starting 11 on when fully fit on on a piece of paper, you go, oh okay, I can understand that. But then when you look at the squad and you go, hang on a minute, it's not really that great. Again, that's a problem. And it is a problem. But great flick, sorry, from Hugo for Flo then to Link. So well, yeah, well, I think it's 6 goal contributions now together for them. Obviously, Hugo now is on 14 goal involvements this season, which I think is the most out of anyone from the summer signings. Which is it 17? Is it 17 for Hugo? Hang on a minute. I thought it was 14. I thought it was 16. Sorry. Hang on a minute. I will let you know. How many goal involvements does Hugo Ekitike have for Liverpool? If I can find Hugo Ekitike, where is he? There he is. What's that? 10. Yeah, no, it's 14. No, it's 14. I was right. But yeah, who knows? I don't think the players were unfit. I just think they played the game in the 4th gear as well, or 2nd gear. Realistically, but hello Zane, hope you're doing well. But what else do we have? Dom's got my man of the match. Why can't I add that Is the stream working? Hello? Oh, there we go. Dom got my man of the match. Just his versatility and responsibility. Players who stand up sometimes. Yeah, no, exactly, 100%. What else do we have? Michael Edwards already signed 3 centre backs this window. I'm talking first team, Ozan, not 19-year-old kids who will come good for Liverpool in 2 or 3 years' time, but I'm talking first team, like fucking Mark Gurhey, Ozan, or sign Ozan Kabak. You know, where is Ozan at the minute? Hoffenheim. I think that was the last time. I knew he was at Schalke and then Hoffenheim. I don't know if he's still at Hoffenheim. Ozan, you'll let me know. Yeah, for the academy. Yeah, of course, for the fucking academy. Yeah, let me know. What else do we have? Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute, chat. Yeah, that's fine. Conor Ekitike, the lead scorer at Liverpool? Yes, this season. How many gears you got on your team? 10? No, I'm joking. Liverpool this season, I mean, in first gear all freaking season. Let's not lie around it. I'm recovering from an ACL. Is he actually? Well, can you grow an ACL then, please? or can you give one to freaking Giovanni Leone, please? But yeah, that'd be quite funny if that would happen. Great to see Rio and Frimpong going past players. If they improve their final pass, they will be worth their weight in gold. Yeah, true. Like, I think Jeremy Frimpong is definitely one for that. I'm not going to lie. I think, Rio. I still think Rio needs to kind of do things first time, if that makes sense. Like, there was an opportunity in the second half where he could have just made a pass. I think it was to Hugo. Instead, he takes it down, tries to beat the man, and then pass. And I'm like, again, that's his age, and that will change, with him being in the first team a bit more, and of course, hopefully him playing a bit more as well. Let's not lie around it. Rio again has had limited playing time. He's only played like 50 minutes all season, which 50 minutes before tonight anyway. Of course, obviously that's added up a bit more now tonight as well. Hopefully he won't be injured too badly as well. I think he just went off because of fatigue really, but again, he needs to be playing a bit more because again, we've seen glimpses of him progressing well and obviously beating the man now and again, but realistically, until he's given a run of games, we're not going to see the best Rio Ngamoa that we could possibly see as well. But would you play Chiesa and Ekitike up front? No. Gary, I think I would wonder if Liverpool had everyone fit, and I'm talking, Gakpo, Rio, Isak, Ekitike, and Salah, or, when we had Salah back, I wonder whether or not we would let go of Chiesa and potentially bring somebody else in, because obviously Juve want Chiesa again. Liverpool want to sell him. Not want to sell him. Liverpool have said that they're only going to sell him. They don't want a loan deal. They want a permanent transfer if it was going to happen. And we all know Arne Slot's not a huge fan of Federico Chiesa. So realistically, if the right bid come in, I think Liverpool would accept it. But as of things right now, I don't think so. Because again, look, I think Chiesa should be given more opportunity on the right hand side. But like tonight, now he wasn't the best. He again was okay, but again, it's that whole settlement of he hasn't played any football. So when we're talking about match sharpness and match fitness, it's not really there. It's the same with Rio. Rio and Federico Chiesa are exactly the same because their match sharpness and their match fitness isn't really there as of right now because, again, they're not playing. They're not given opportunities, really. But yeah, like until that changes, it's like, it's not going to change, really. Chiesa is done. I think he'll be gone in the summer. I do. I think Liverpool will. Of course, there's talks of Yan Diamonde. Whether or not we get him is another thing. Yan Diamonde reminds me a lot of Antoine Semenyo in terms of his body and in terms of his physique, I would say. And yeah, obviously, him coming out and saying he wants to play for Liverpool and he's a huge Liverpool fan also helps Liverpool's case in trying to pursue him anyway. But of course, RB Leipzig won around 100 million euros, which is not going to happen, quite frankly, anyway. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was the change that Liverpool do in the summer, if they were to possibly sell Federico Chiesa, maybe go back to Italy, and then with the World Cup as well around, transfers are going to be a bit dodgy this season or this summer coming up, because again, you're going to have to kind of get people in before or after the World Cup, which, yeah, it's just going to be a mess in itself, really. But thoughts on Gakpo's recent form, Con? Still hate him. No, I'm joking. I don't hate Cody Gakpo, but he is the most frustrating player for Liverpool. Because look, he's playing as centre forward at the minute, isn't he? When he's playing, but yeah, Cody. Look, I'm just going to say that Gary's probably there. Barcola will replace him. That is the replacement for Cody, in my opinion, or at least the guy who's going to start above Cody, possibly in the future. But look, I'm just going to say this: if Luis Diaz was still a choice at Liverpool, Cody Gakpo would be second choice left winger for Liverpool. I'm just going to say that. But Chiesa would get stuck. Oh, Jesus Christ! Wow. No, let me fair. I love Federico Chiesa. It's just unfortunate that it's just not worked. Really, is it? Let's be perfectly honest. And look, at the end of the day, I think he'll go back to Juve. I think there's a willingness from Liverpool, I think, in the summer to do a deal. And I think he'll go back to Juve, and I think he'll possibly get in the World Cup squad for Italy, if they make it, of course, in March, which I think that's the biggest question mark as well, whether or not he's going to be featured in that. I think if he doesn't go to the World Cup, because I think Gattuso will also not pick him. But still, I think there's a big possibility that he will just go to the World Cup and then move in the summer as well. But again, there'll be one player from the World Cup in the summer that will get the attention from someone in Europe or everyone in Europe, and people will like, sign him. It happens every World Cup, or every tournament, really. Like I go back years, and James Rodriguez for Colombia, obviously was at Monaco and obviously did amazing for Colombia. You look at Shaqiri, the Liverpool literally delayed Xherdan Shaqiri signing by 4 weeks because he was at the Euros. Again, Liverpool were absolutely all in for him. And yeah, of course, we didn't do the deal before the Euros, so we ended up waiting until after, and then he ended up having a really good European competition for Switzerland, and everyone's like, "Oh, everyone should sign Shaqiri," and then everyone got told like, "No, he's going to Liverpool," like bugger off. But yeah, what a player Xherdan Shaqiri was, or is realistically, because he is still playing amazing football for Basel as well. But done or not, Chiesa, Gomez, Robbo, Endo, Gakpo. Robbo, I still think you keep around next season, whether or not the club do a 1-year contract. I think they should do, personally. But Chiesa, Gomez, Endo, and Gakpo, for me, I think should. I'd keep Gakpo around maybe for one more season, but as a backup, really, I think Liverpool's front three next season should be Salah, or maybe Salah might end up going as well, but should be Ekitike or Isak and Barcola up top as well, really. But look, going back onto the game here, because we've talked a little bit away from it. For me, I think, look, it's a good result. Obviously now Liverpool's next game, I believe, is on Saturday next week, Is it chat? Hang on a minute. Who do we play? Because my mind gone completely blank. So we've got Burnley at home on Saturday at 3 o'clock. But then this is now our run-in, really, and our run-in for the next couple of weeks isn't so great. When you look at it, Burnley at home, Marseille away in the Champions League next week, Bournemouth away, which is always a tough ground for us, Karabag at home, Newcastle at home, and Manchester City at home, which takes us in the middle of February. So a very tough run in for Liverpool. But of course, Mohamed Salah will be back at some point, of course, because again, like we said, obviously, if you guys watch the shorts or keep up with the shorts, of course, Mo is in the semi-final of AFCON, and of course, he does take on Sadio Mane. So and Senegal. So hopefully, he can beat them. And I think it's the last attempt, isn't it, with Mo and AFCON? Because I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he might retire from Egypt after the World Cup, because Egypt are going to the World Cup, right, chat? Unless my mind's going crazy. But yeah, I think so. Egypt are going to the World Cup. But still, I think that's at the point where he may end up retiring. If he wins AFCON and then goes to another World Cup with Egypt, I think that'll be it then for Mo in terms of playing for Egypt. But once we got, that's all we need as well. Such a pity it hasn't worked out for him. Who's this for? Do you mean Chiesa? Chiesa is a top pro with an excellent attitude. Yeah, no, he is. 100% he is. That's the thing. Like, we talk about Mo and look at the whole chaos around, the slot and Mo situation, where, look, Chiesa could have done that last season, didn't. He's loved every minute of being a Liverpool player. He picked. He could have left in the summer. There was multiple opportunities for him to leave in the summer, but no, look, he chose to stay, and look, he's a Liverpool cult hero for sure. Anyway, but look, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Anyway, I do very much appreciate all of you guys tuning in very late. Of course, it is 10:30 as well. But hopefully, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I will be back tomorrow, probably around 8 p.m. I'm going to do a live show tomorrow, talking to you guys. Probably a transfer show. We'll talk a little bit about other stuff as well. We might talk more about Alonso potentially and that whole saga that will happen over the next couple of months of links and speculation, as it always bloody does. But look, still, let me know your guys' thoughts on this game. Man of the match, I'm going to give Dom. Like I said, I think Dom was brilliant from minute 1 to minute 90, apart from that mistake that he made, which we're going to quickly forget about because it was probably the most weirdest goal ever conceded in the Cop End, which, yeah, we won't talk about. But still, look, Liverpool get the win. Next round, Brighton, and of course, Brighton then. Next round, Brighton, and of course, we got Burnley coming up next week on Saturday, I should say, really. But look, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Let me know, again, your man of the matches, your thoughts on this game as well. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. But until then, I've been Connor from the Cop Council. We'll see you guys a bit later on. Ta-ra.